Hello, everyone. Welcome back to ESA Cup Season 8. It is our final day of our second round of the Swiss stage. I'm Pastor, joined by Poobal as per, and we have only a couple of games for you. Our first game was a forfeit win for Entropy Gaming versus Controller Gang, but now here we are. It's Silent versus Team Misclick, Joe.
Yeah, again, still in that lower round. So these are the teams that didn't quite have the best start last week. So they are currently on that 0-1 record. Losers will, of course, go down into those elimination matchups next, or potentially the week after. I haven't checked the schedule. Whereas the winners will go on to those sort of mixed brackets where they'll be playing against those teams that actually did win their first round but didn't have the same luck in round two. So there's still quite a bit to play for here. Obviously, just round count in general is very important in Swiss stages. So that 7-0 that Entropy got earlier thanks to that forfeit is going to be really appreciated by them.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's going to help them out massively, especially as the tiebreakers. It works out. First, we use the Buchholz score, or I don't know how to pronounce it. It's some weird formula taking into account previous results of the teams that you've beaten on lost to, and it's all a massive complicated thing. But then if that's tied, then it will go to round difference. So if we have a look at where we will be heading, it's going to be Consulate actually. Team Misclick choosing to ban out Clubhouse in the final one there. Joe, what is your opinion on the fact that we're going to see Consulate? Because I did not expect this watching the map veto.
Yeah, I'll try and keep it brief because I've just heard we have a full lobby. But yeah, Consulate, it's ballsy, right? Especially for the team that picked it because they're going to more than likely start on that attacking side because the other team will get to choose first half. So yeah, if you don't win sort of two of those attacking rounds in that first half, it's looking dire, right? We often see 5-1, God, even 6-0 halves going the way of the defense for Consulate because it's not really been mapped out, and it's also just quite a difficult map to like just start and just to attack in general. So yeah, it shows a lot of confidence. And it might very well be misplaced here. It's really onto that attacking team to get those rounds on the board because if you don't get a hot start there, things are going to look quite rough.
They absolutely are. So, and reminder, this is only a best of one as well, which means that it's not like you have extra chances in this series. And as this is the lower bracket game, whichever team loses this is going to start looking at elimination territory next week. They are going to have to be playing those longer series to see whether they can stay in the competition or not. So this is actually an incredibly important game because it allows you to play more best of ones and, more importantly as well, keep your map pool nice and hidden for the latter stages of the tournament.
Yeah, hiding map pool, very good. And it's kind of one of the reasons why I'm surprised we've gone to Consulate here, Cameron. There was a choice, those final two maps, Consulate or Clubhouse on the map ban. And we all expected in that production call, we'd be seeing Clubhouse, right? It's safe ground for so early on. But coming out swinging with Consulate, it does reveal a lot here. The Montagne ban also revealing a bit of that thought process for the defense, not wanting to deal with any kind of free intel for the attack. Ying being banned out as well, pretty common, just makes those sites stronger to hold. There's less chance for a burst of aggression to be all too successful without those Candelas.
Oh, for sure. And another point on the Consulate thing as well is that this is a best of one. You tend to expect to go to those more middle of the ground maps, thinking like Cafe, thinking like Oregon, thinking like Clubhouse, thinking like Chalet. For Consulate to actually make it all the way through, both of these teams should at least be somewhat confident in themselves, but Silent obviously have that massive advantage, like you were saying, Joe, with the fact that they get to choose that starting side and they get to start on the defense. Speaking of the defense, Solus no longer going to be able to be played by that side of the game. It's not really a surprise, and neither is the Fenrir ban either. Pretty standard bans across the board. I'm pretty sure we got this exact veto phase last week in at least a couple of the games that were played over there. So this is very much your usual suspects.
Yeah, there's nothing more to really say that hasn't been said to death, right? About those three defense operators in particular, Solus, Azami, Fenrir. Obviously, Azami has escaped that veto phase. She is currently our second most banned defender, but it's kind of a map thing with Azami and Fenrir on which you choose, whereas Solus is a little bit further ahead in that first place position. So, no surprise we're seeing these three operators have presence here, whether it's a ban or a pick. Immediately, Akashi on Azami just to help fortify some of those positions. And again, it's Consulate. Those positions are already quite easy to hold, so the barriers just make it even more easy. So we see a bit of an extension towards this break room wall. Akashi just reinforcing all 3 walls. So playing quite defensively here with the castle as well. It's going to be a heavy utility sink and a heavy time sink, to me anyway, for the attack to actually get to this site with plenty of intel, plenty of utility dotted around. This one could be pretty rough.
Absolutely could. Already we are saying the defense has a very strong advantage coming into this. And one of the things that can help alleviate that is the Ying, particularly on this top floor. So she's no longer available. You have that castle, have that Melusi, have that Azami even as well. It's going to be a very tall task for Team Misclick if they want to be able to get this round across the board. But if they do, it would send an absolute statement in this game to Silent because, well, I mean, if they're not able to win this defense where you have all of this utility, then it's going to be very difficult indeed. Some of those shots do go right onto your Flores drone to come on through, but even still, either way, it's still just sitting in that 5 versus 5, and the defense just looking very, very strong.
Yeah, defense though not really overpeaking, and it's kind of to do with what you were saying. It's very much a double-edged sword, these heavily defender-sided maps. The pressure sure is on the attack to get some rounds on the board, but at the same time, it's also kind of on the defense, because if they do start trailing early, it just makes the attacker's job even easier once that half swap eventually happens. So Team Misclick, sure, these rounds are going to be hard, but I'd say more pressure, especially at the moment, is on Silent, which is why we're seeing them play so far back. Eventually, first pick does go the way of Silent. Akashi getting 1, Misclick still kind of just stalling around here. Intel on these players. They think they're making ground, Cameron, but they're still almost walking right into a trap here as that player on Spiral position is known. They're forced to play a lot more passive here just behind the vending machine.
Yeah, they're aware of these positions. Their movements have been telegraphed. Ayuko just holding on this angle there. Know the position. Atomic elsewhere finds the kill onto Pizza. Yen falling as well. Team Misclick in a tough situation. Ayuko caught with the util in their hands. The flashbang goes up over the top. At least Fod going to clear that position. Gave himself a little bit more space, but still a 2 versus 5 for this Team Misclick attack. Nui nowhere near, and finally that Valkyrie camera has been shut down, but so has Fod. It's now all up to Nui. 1 versus 5. This is looking like an impossible situation and potentially a flawless round to come on through. The proximity alarm as well. There goes the impact grenade, and Akashi does open the round, closes the round, and Silent have their first.
There's so much utility on that staircase. You have the vault cam at the bottom, you have the Melusi halfway, you have the proximity alarm 3/4, and then you have the default cam at the top. There's just nothing new he can do there, and really seeing the strength of Consulate in that first round, because despite Silent playing so passive, so almost timid on that defense, it doesn't matter. It takes the attack so long to get anything done that by the time they're finally ready to push on the site, there's barely any time left, and Silent can just completely swamp those attackers. Really good defense from them, and just making the most of the map they're playing on there. No need to get so aggressive, so antsy. So, yeah, just great from Silent. A very important first round there that could easily determine the overall pace of this map. And for Misclick, it doesn't matter too much. This is heavily defender-sided, but still, you got to get some rounds on the board, right? And Garage, it's surely more doable once you get that diffuser down. Well, a very big if you can get that diffuser down. Post-plant positions are pretty good on this site, but again, it's far easier said than done. And with this defensive lineup coming in, those mirror windows, the castle barricades, the Wildmine magnets, it's just, again, so much utility for Misclick to deal with.
You almost feel bad for Team Misclick in this round. There's so much, and you have this bandit as well from Chisui, who is going to be trying to lock them off from that wall, that all-important entry point that's mostly covered from these defensive positions that they can hold further back in towards Kitchen, in towards the office down there as well. So that's really going to be the point of focus, but it seems like Misclick instead are opting to do a roam clear, but well, there's a little bit of a problem with that. There's no one really roaming, so they are clearing these areas of the maps, they are taking their due diligence, but Well, it's been fairly swift for them so far, so they aren't at least they're not wasting time trying to clear these positions, because that was the real worry, that they'd spend so long trying to drone and whatever this top floor that they don't have enough time to clear elsewhere. But Yen does find the opening pick onto Atomic now. Second player spotted. That's Hakanino, and Hakanino's been found as well. Fod on a tear, and now Shisui stepping up to the plate. Everyone seems to just want to poke their head through this doorway, and this time Shisui is rewarded for it. Yen going down, but still a 3 versus 4.
Yeah, players traded, but the player count not quite evened up yet, but still a 4 versus 3, and now indeed an even 3v3 puts Silent in a much better spot here, with Yuko still causing aggression on that top floor. It looks like Solo might finally be able to shut him down here, but no.
Oh no!
Just a really bad siege timing there, pulls out the flashbang when he should have had the gun up still. Yuko just wasting more and more time. Eventually found Shisui just springs into life. This trade infrastructure from Silent is incredible onto this mid floor. It's all on Nui once again, so much ahead of him, but Shisui does overpeak, gets the pick. If that went the way of the attack, this could have been an entirely different ending to the round, but Shisui just a bit sharp with the aim there, Cameron, and another Silent round on the board here. Team Misclick have yet to find an attacking win.
Yeah, lovely little aim reset there from Shisui on the end, not letting the recoil get away from him. So let's have a look at this opener again. It was actually Fod who found that first kill, but it was a nice crossfire that was established by Team Misclick, and then that second kill really did put the nail in the coffin, but again, Silent did bring it back. It just wasn't enough.
Yeah, they just weren't expecting 3 people to almost feed themselves up that spiral, and eventually they just have their attention turned elsewhere. 3 pick there for Shisui, who continued to have a good round. Duko as well, though, the hero on that mid floor, just not giving it up, playing his life, realizing the main win condition with big maps like Consulate is just to waste that time and force the attack to start making difficult decisions. So a very smart retake of that mid floor from Silent. Despite a pretty good opening from Team Misclick, there were questions to be asked as to why there was such a wide swing there from Atomic, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. The round win still went the way of Silent. They're still 2-0 up now, so Misclick, they're just forced to lick their wounds and go next, go to this tertiary site, their best chance here to pick up a point.
It absolutely is, and they should hopefully be able to get that round on the boards. Otherwise, things start to look quite dire for them. Even a 3-3 half sometimes isn't necessarily enough to try and get it over the board. So, Shisui, well, he's gone down early. This is a brilliant start from Team Misclick. Just upstairs, roaming on the smoke is an interesting choice, but enough about that, because it's more about this player advantage now. Yeah, sure, the utility's gone, but Team Misclick can really start to work this. Obviously, in the previous round, they had that opportunity. They even had a 5 versus 3 in their favor and weren't able to close out. This time, though, they will have learned from that. They will be more thorough with their droning. But let's see, well, you can't really drone a C4 that's just been thrown. Atomic finds one, finds a second even, retaking this space in towards break room. And he's even able to find a third. Absolutely ridiculous. They just keep feeding this guy, walking into the crosshairs, and Akashi shuts it down. Disaster for Team Misclick here on the top floor, and Silent have 3 rounds.
Really just highlighting the difference between these teams. We were complimenting Silent's trade infrastructure so much in that second round, and here there's just none of it for Misclick. Every player seems completely bewildered as to where this Valkyrie is, as Atomic just fed these kills. It was a great 4K, but it was also a really free 4K. I don't think he actually had to win a single gunfight there. Just kept on killing players who had no idea where he was. Misclick, where's this communication? Where is the coordination of this roam clear? They were so eager to clear in that second round, but here they seemed completely inept at anything like that. So I just don't know what's happened. That was their best chance, more than likely, to win a round here. That tertiary site instead, back on a primary, back on second floor. Again, there's potential for round wins. We see a lot of window play, potential to get that diffuser down and hold a post plant, but that's all just potential. You've got to get in the building first, and that's something that Misclick just haven't been able to do, Cameron. And they can't really get there for more than 30 seconds without having some kind of gunfight go the way of Silent. It just seems impossible for them.
Well, certainly isn't going to be easy, especially when we consider Team Misclick. What we tend to associate them with is taking those gunfights and taking them well. Only 4 kills across these 3 rounds for this side. It's not really a good look, and especially when that trade infrastructure isn't there, it's making it even the more difficult to try and take these gunfights, to win these gunfights. And yes, now they're droning, and they should hopefully be checking these corners, but at some point, you've just got to question, maybe there's something mentality-wise. Obviously, when you're down 3-0 like this, it can be very difficult to get yourselves in the game. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a timeout to come through if they also lose round number 4.
Yeah, really, it seems like timeout should have probably come after round 3 as Atomic is having a bit of pressure, but that Cube Barricade does slightly alleviate that. He's able to rotate back to side. Eventually, Fod gets a lovely double, really opening up this site, Cameron. I said there was possibility for the attack to win here, and Fod, he's really put his team up for a great start. They just need to get this conversion. They just need to take out these final few, but Shisui has something else to say about it. Takes down Fod. Atomic is slain, so it's still a 2-man advantage, but Silent are not taking this lying down. They're getting aggressive, trying to get trades. Hakanino yet to win a gunfight here, but he's pushing so close, sees the laser too. Position given away by that gadget, has to make the swing easy, but it's still a 1 versus 3 for Shisui.
Yeah, well, we saw what happened in round number 2 when Fod opened up the round with a 2k. This time, though, Team Misclick aren't going down as easy. Nui starting to get this diffuser planted. Out goes the Toxic Babe, but I don't think it's caught. No, Nui is definitely taking damage. He's going to get taken down as well. Now only 2 players left to find, but the clock is ticking for Shisui to try and retake here. Out goes another Toxic Babe. Is he going to be able to long arm this? I don't think he will. These long angles are also being held by Team Misclick. You can see Shisui just does not have this information. Is he going to be able to stick this close? He might be. I don't think they know. Are they aware? He's got off it! He can hear Solo running towards him! And the Buck wins the gunfight. Team Misclick with their first round on the board.
It was great objective play from that Thermite. That was really spiraling towards quite a losable round for Team Misclick, or the Ace rather. Nui, he understood the assignment perfectly. You're in a 1 versus 3. The smoke's been thrown a bit late. Not playing the KD, playing the objective, playing the win condition there. Fantastic from him. So often now, we see players on that diffuser roll just kind of getting a bit greedy, getting a bit selfish, valuing those numbers when really the win is what matters most. So Nui sacrifices life, but he gets that objective, gets the diffuser down. It's a fantastic play from him, showing a lot of experience. So again, it could have very easily gone the way of Silent there. They were gearing up for a comeback. If that smoke was really half a second earlier, we could be seeing 4-0 here. But as it stands, Team Misclick get one very important round. Another, and they've basically done what is necessary for this half. A 4-2 is fine for the attack onto Consulate. The defenses are going to be easier. We all know that. And that then, in turn, puts a bit of pressure on Silent. Now these defenses have to go from being great to perfect. They don't want to let another round slip, or else it's going to be all the more effort for their attacking half. So it's a real momentum shift for both these teams here, Cameron.
Yeah, it could end up being a very important round in deciding the outcome of this game. And obviously in this Swiss system, even making it to overtime doesn't grant you any additional points, as Solo finds the opener onto Atomique, taking them down on the Roam, who, since that 4K in round number 3, has not even found a single kill, and instead 2 deaths. Not quite the impact that you'd want after having a round-saving performance for your side, but Hakanino is able to find a trade, and that's something we didn't really see in that round, in that previous round, was trades coming through from Silent. We've praised their trade infrastructure in the past, and this time there is a response. 4 versus 4.
Yeah, I'll give it to Silent. It was mainly down to that FOD 2k right at the start, just putting Misclick on an extra step forward, because after that, really, you can trade all you want. You're still going to lose there, but immediately a much more rapid response from Silent here, and you can tell from the way Misclick are playing, it's kind of stumbled their confidence a bit. Nui is just tentatively walking around this front door, decides to drone himself in, just unsure, despite having those Takaibi calls giving him intel. Shisui, though, does actually take quite a bit of damage here. He's going to need to flee back to site as Nui just slightly messes up with the leaning there, doesn't quite look at where an enemy could potentially be and takes a lot of chip damage, but does try and use the setup against and sees the castle through that punch hole, but both sides just narrowly avoid each other as Yen gets another 3 versus 4, but Shisui immediately on the trade, 3 versus 3.
I was going to say, with Shisui's low health, it's almost like a 4 versus 2, but nope, still finding the impact, and Hakuninho that using the castle barricade, blocking off yellow. They're fine to secede that area of the map to Team Misclick. It's better to stay on site, bunker up, and keep all your numbers where they're required. Still, though, the low health on Shisui could be a problem when trying to take any future gunfights, as we can see. Now, Team Misclick gearing themselves up to take this yellow position as Solo's opening up the vertical. C4 in hand from Shisui, could potentially find kill, but no. Solo gets away just in time. Still watching for these vertical angles, instead just taking away that breach denial. And now has to fall back. Nui could be in a position to find a plant here. So shots coming on through. But Silent, they're holding their positions, holding firm. They don't want to overpeak this. And there's Hakuninho with a swing. And there's Hakuninho with a kill. Nui going down. Pizza rushing in. He finds the gunfight. And there's another pick straight away. Shisui shuts it down. And Silent are on 4 rounds to 1.
How does he do it? The 5 HP bandit, he was in such a risky spot early on in that round, but manages to get all the way back to site with another kill, and then 2 more when that execute finally hit. Fantastic round from Shisui. Really very impactful one there, because if you go to 3-2, suddenly you're staring down the barrel of a 3-3 attacking split, and 3 rounds in a row for the attackers heading onto their defense. Silent needed this round to keep the map firmly in their control, as it now rests on 4-1. A much more pleasant scoreline for the defenders here. And again, even if they lose this, it's 4-2. It's still a pretty standard consulate split. And on top of that, there's no real round winning streak for Team Misclick heading into their defenses. So it doesn't matter too much. Of course, obviously, Silent want to win this round. A 5-1 is a great split on any map, consulate included, so they're still going to be trying here, but the consequences of a loss are nowhere near as dire as if Shisui didn't put on such a fantastic play in that previous round. And on top of all that, Silent gets to go to the second floor again. It's considered a secondary or primary site here, so despite losing it last time, if they just don't drop 2 picks immediately, they could be well on their way to a 5-1 split.
And then obviously all the pressure's on Team Misclick to perform on their own defenses. And if they're feeling that pressure, it might lead to a few more mistakes and make this quite a swift victory for Silent. Obviously, though, if a 4-2 comes on through, it's kind of just business as normal. Again, a very impactful round to decide the future of this entire matchup.
Indeed, as we're seeing these breaches go off again. Bit of a slow round here as they are just getting that breach on the external and immediately dipping away. No need to stay there, no need to even threaten an early death. Just having that pressure is more than enough. You can see from Shisui's position. Immediately playing a lot further back just because, well, I was gonna say because of the idle threat there, Cameron, but that is a default cam still up, so the play maybe isn't as valuable as I first thought, but Yen still finding value, getting an opening pick, 4 versus 5 here, as Silent, that 5-1 split may be looking less and less like a reality, but Hakuninho still does even out the mine count.
Yeah, and with the player playing further back as Atomic finds the second, it's those extra half a second margins that we were talking about that cost Silent that round number 4 as Yen finds another suddenly advantage yet again in the hands of Team Misclick in a 3 versus 2. However, Silent, they can hold these positions. It's going to have to be Shisui again, the savior, but Yen is just on another level, man. What's that, 4 kills in this round? It's just making it look easy with those pre-fires coming on through. And Team Misclick, it's 4-2. And like I said, business as normal, really, heading into this half. It doesn't really feel like it should be, but it absolutely is.
Again, it's both those times it was an R4C just getting so many opening kills on that top floor. It's no real kind of counter stratting from the attack. It's just hoping that your entry player gets picks. And indeed, Yen and Ford in their respective rounds both did. 4-2. By no means bad for Silent, but could have been better from the way that they were playing on that defense. And Team Misclick may be considering themselves a little bit blessed here, as they only have to win 4 of these defensive rounds to get to OT, 5 to win it in regulation. It's a lot more manageable. So, yeah, Team Misclick overall, I'd say they'd be pretty happy here, especially off of such a dominant round that last half as they're preparing their own second floor site. We're seeing the Legion this time, so that should in theory prevent a kind of just almost like a rush from these entry players, because it's going to slow down, it's going to provide that noise and that damage constantly ticking as well. But still, it doesn't stop you from actually using your gun, Cameron, so we could potentially just be seeing one of these Silent players get a couple early frags here and opening up the site.
Yeah, that is always the worry. Pizza, though, using his yokais as well to get some more active utility, and he's actually going to go for the run out for it. Tomic does find the first onto Solo, who was also trying to capitalize on that information, but well, the trade is there. Very aggressive play from Team Misclick right in these early moments. But it's kind of settled again into this 4 versus 4 situation, although Nui does get a bit of a jump as that window's taken out from behind him, but the angle isn't going to be able to find anything towards that defensive player. So even still, as we stand, everything is just kind of going through the motions now for Silent.
Yeah, just a lot of angle work being held by Misclick here. Foddo does seem to be in a bit more of an aggressive spot towards Admin as Nui, just holding his pixel there. Misses the shot, but no damage exchange onto him. Not too bad at all there, as eventually a Bravo drone does claim some of that utility, but there's still plenty left, and a shield as well by these vending machines. It seems like Silent just have so much they have to destroy here, while Team Misclick are still just providing constant pressure, constant aggression. Fod getting ready to replace that Kiba barricade as Pizza gets another Hakanina, though. Just takes the rappel in, but misses the gunfight. Fod, easy kill for him, and Deiko just a little bit late on the response. Eventually does take down Fod, but there was potential for a double there, potential for an even man count as Silent are still trailing behind 3 versus 2 as Misclick's defensive setup just hasn't really been cracked yet.
It absolutely hasn't. Now Diyuko's swinging in towards Copy, trying to find some pre-fires, some players that might be playing ahead of it, but instead Misclick, they know when the aggression is too much. They know when they just need to sit back, hold some deeper angles on towards the bomb site. Remember, it's the attack that needs to get aggressive on towards the defense, not the other way around. So with only this final 50 seconds left to go in the round, Team Misclick, yeah, they're just content to let Silent walk into their crosshairs, to walk into the angles that they've been holding, and this shield position is so strong. Nui taking down Diyuko, now just Akashi. He's got to try and clear the exact same spot. And Nui's playing it smart, playing it safe. Smoke grenade goes out, pre-fires through, and it's only Yen to go and do it. Team Misclick bring us back to within 1 round.
Yeah, and suddenly what looked like such a one-sided first half is very quickly cruising towards even, and it all really started with this early trade. Sure, solo spawn peak seemed to fail, but Pizza ended up cleaning things up, and on top of that, they had that confidence to just maintain the aggression. There were a couple trades in the mix there, Cameron, but still it ended up being that 3v1 with a crossfire established. Nothing that Silent could really do there, and 1 round away from an even man count, 2 away from losing that precious lead that they established in the first half. You've got to think that the pressure might start to get to them. These constant attacks are not forgiving at all in that first attempt. Just didn't really have the source. Nothing like the way that Team Misclick dealt with that second floor. There was no explosive gunplay, no fantastic pace there. It was just a very slow, very sad almost push towards that admin side that was basically cut down at every single corner. Team Misclick, again, just flooding around this top floor now. This time it's a basement defense, but still, they're going to make their presence known. They're going to force Silent to waste that time, because that means once they get down to that basement, eventually they're going to have barely any time to think, even less time to act. They're just playing this clock so beautifully here.
One thing that I am surprised about is that we haven't really seen many western side takes on that top floor. You know, those windows can be so strong. We've seen many a successful attacking round from going from that side. So that's something just to keep in the back of the mind that Silent might choose to employ later, especially as that admin side take really did not work out. And now they have an entirely different challenge to contend with. Newies on yellow stairs, holding an aggressive position, is going to be watching for any players that aren't aware of this, that haven't really droned out their entrance ways. And Solo's on this top floor as well, watching down below, and has those goo mines in the hand, in the pocket. And with support from Yen up here, it's going to be quite difficult for Silent to really get control. They have at least droned out the situation, but Fod is also here inside of Tellers. It's very, very aggressive outside on the map, at least. Ryuko is able to find the opening kill, and actually Newi's taken a lot of damage and is taken down as well. Shisui makes it a 5 versus 3, and Team Misclick maybe just a little too separated.
Solo does get the trade, sure, but still you've lost that smoke, such an important piece of the defense. Shisui getting awfully aggressive on that hatch, but does manage to walk away with his life as the rest of these attackers just keep shutting down the defense. This roam, sure, it's gotten picks, but still you're trailing, and there's almost half the round still remaining. The time-wasting aspect just hasn't been there. It's now a 1 versus 3 for Fod here, Cameron. This roam, a complete disaster. TCSG versus 3 attackers. Luckily, Shisui will die in one shot, and Hakanino awfully low as well now. A single bullet to him might end his life, but Angle's being held from outside the breach. Angle's being held from yellow, and Fod just at the wrong moment. Gets one, gets a second, but is traded. Another round for Silent. That seemed to be going so poorly at the very final hurdle, but they just get it done.
Pizza here gets far too aggressive as well. It's a nice pick from Fod, using those really long angles on the TCSG to the advantage. But yeah, Pizza there got too aggressive, and while Fod is nearly able to land his shots, I have no idea how Akashi did not land this kill. Look at that, 1 HP on Fod, and the secondary just to try and claim this kill as well. Shisui was obviously so low. Thankfully, Hakanino landed that pre-fire, because like you mentioned, Joe, it started looking incredibly dangerous whatsoever. Just far too aggressive from Team Misclick. Something that I praised, at least, in round number 7. They knew when to fall back. This time, when they're in that disadvantage, it was just all go, go, go. And it led to that round win for Silent.
I'm still unsure how Nui died there. He should have 100% be playing on the site with those toxic babe canisters, but he seemed to be caught off on that roam clear, so just perplexed really. It seems like some of these operators just aren't quite sure of their role as that. That's an interesting mirror window there on the soft wall. By no means secure, but very aggressive from Pizza, and aggression has really been the name of the game for this Misclick defense, so it's fitting at least, but I don't know if I'm that big of a fan of it. You can still very easily be chipped down from long range, so it's unconventional. We'll give them that. We'll give Pizza that. And I'm not sure if it's going to have that much of an effect on the round, but still, it's almost like a microcosm of the way that they want to play this defense. A defense that is usually played in such a turtley, bunkery way.
Yeah, again, things happening here on the top floor for Team Misclick. Atomic, though, has managed to get inside of the west corridor and looking towards yellow. Might be able to aggress this upstairs position, but for now, just holding these vertical angles. Solo's taken some damage as well upstairs, and he's even been taken down. Great start again for the side of Silent. Now Hakanino is pressuring on the site. They've identified there are so many of these players off site. It could easily be a 4 versus 2 here on the site, but still the roam clear is coming on through, and Hakanino knows where Nui is inside of yellow, and he's just forced him back into the site. Really nice groundwork being laid here by the attack of Silent.
Yeah, at least Nui retreating this time, but still, it's such an aggressive position for such a crucial defender here as the rest of these roamers from Misclick trying their best to retake some of this contested ground, to continue to apply pressure, because right now, Silent are free to start ripping that floor up, but I'm not sure they're aware of it, Cameron. They're still checking the hatches above. Yeah. Finally, a ram drone will go down, will start ripping up the floorboards, but that's given time plenty of time for these two roamers to get towards this press room area of the map. There's no gunfights as of yet, as I do see Fod has fully retreated, but still, I would be surprised if Yen wasn't lurking somewhere around here. In fact, no. Actually, it's 4 downstairs. There was potential for a flank there, but Team Misclick, after how badly last round went, they just think better of it, leaving it to be these 4 gunfights down
C4.
on the hatch. A vertical C4, though, isn't quite popped yet, and it gives Atomic plenty of time to move away. Another misplay, but still, no execute coming as of yet.
I think Silent have almost missed their opportunity here. They could have had a 4v2 on the bomb site. Instead, they've allowed those roamers to get back to the site. And, well, there's the impact of it. Fod, who was out on the roam, has been able to take down Hakanino. Now player disadvantage for Silent. They need to try and drop these hatches, come in through the breach. It's going to be very, very difficult now. They're in a disadvantaged situation. Akashi has a diffuser in hand, throws out an EMP. And now having to try and force your way in. Atomic falling as well as we head into red time. Akashi's down. Dyuko is able to find one, but no diffuser in the hand. Shot from every which way, and Fod is there. Team Misclick just about holding on, thanks to, again, I'll say it, maybe some questionable attacking decisions from Silent, just not letting themselves just take the opportunity when they had it, and maybe hesitating just a bit too much. When we said aggression really didn't work out for Team Misclick in round number 8, the lack of aggression didn't really work out for Silent in round number 9, Joe.
Yeah, I suppose that's one of the factors of facing a team that's so aggressive, though. Sure, it doesn't work out all the time, but you're still constantly in fear of it if you're the opposing team, and so Silent just misread the situation, misread it entirely, thinking that Misclick were going to fight tooth and nail to keep those other 2 floors under their control, when in reality, once they conceded that first pick, they were more than happy to go all the way back down to that basement, and Silent were just left completely clueless. So yeah, it was a 2 versus 4 on site. There was also potential to execute faster when it was a 4v4 on site, and they did none of it. They just slowly racked up that chip damage from these vertical angles, left it until that final 30 seconds where they had to start mad dashing in, and were cut down there. Silent just, again, not reading the situation, and Misclick almost gifted there by their opponent's inability to see how that round was being played out.
Maybe some questions there about the checklist for Silent, potentially even looking at how many drones are left and leaving yourself enough time to drone out the site later when you have those positions established. As we see the drones coming on through, but already in these first 30 seconds of the action phase, 5 drones are already destroyed for Silent, and that could potentially be a bit of a hallmark of the problem that we were talking about in that previous round, as again, that information that's available to the attack is dwindling fast, and possibly one way to counter that is the Yana that we see being brought along, obviously with the Gemini clone, is able to drone as many times as she likes, obviously avoiding that cooldown. New as well in this situation, gets aggressive, takes a swing, but the prone angle just better for it from Shisui. And there you have it, an advantage for Silent, but it's by no means safe.
Yeah, I was a bit concerned that Shisui just went straight in as we were emphasizing the importance of the utility and the intel that can be provided by the Yana, but he does indeed get that pick, and now I would hope he's going to play a bit on the back foot, just use those Gemini replicators to get more intel as an impact, I believe, was just sent on instinct after hearing that Goonie Needle does do quite a significant amount of chip damage to Dyuko, but still, finally Silent are able to just chill, drone things out, use their gadgets, but Shisui almost caught on a drone hole angle there, forces him to spring into action here, takes a gunfight, and he doesn't quite land it. Atomic, though, does. Hakanino loses, so it's still 3v3. 3 versus 2 now, as Team Misclick just keep racking up these picks, Cameron. So sure, Silent are close to the bomb site, but at one cost. It's Dyuko in a 1v3, and he's on less than 10 health.
Yeah, this is not a good situation at all. At least Pizza's position has been spotted close range. Yuko can't quite land the shots. Kashi is potentially able to give some information away, but it's instead an impact grenade that goes on through and finds that kill. And we're all tied up, Joe. 5 rounds apiece. We're going to need 12 rounds minimum to separate these teams. So we head into round 11. There's no map point just yet.
Yeah, luckily for Silent, Misclick are going to a tertiary site now, so this is their golden ticket opportunity to get to map point first, to at the very least lock in overtime. But at the same time, we were saying that about Misclick on their first half, and they completely fumbled a roam clear towards this first floor site. So really, it's anyone's game here. It could easily go either way if Silent play towards the trend. If they play a good round of attacking siege here, they should be favored just due to the nature of this site. But at the same time, Misclick are defending on Consulate, so you kind of just throw things out of the window because it's so easy to just rack up kills, rack up round wins on this side, on this map, and there's such a heavy investment upstairs here, Cameron. Smart money would be to just go for a complete site rush here, but I'm not sure if Silent are willing to make that gamble in such a crucial round.
It certainly is the risk versus reward possibility, and they know that if they do this roam clear, they still have possibility of getting the round done, so why take that extra risk? Hakanino with the opener. I believe Fod was possibly running out, getting aggressive. There's another run out from Solo to trade, and it's something very similar that we saw in round number 7 at the very start of this half. Getting aggressive, running out from that single breach there on the top floor, getting a trade from the opening pick, but this time it's all of the hard breach utility, save for just 2 little can openers in the pocket of Deuko as that secondary utility now gone. Hard breach going to be very, very difficult, and if you want to try it from range, then forget it, you can't.
Yeah, luckily they still have Atomic alive on that Ash, so there's still something they can do about these mirror windows on site and elsewhere, but still, you lack that hard reach, you lack the ability to really make your own entry point into the site or the roam itself, so this makes Misclick's job a hell of a lot easier now getting that eventual trade. Solo still playing such a fortified position here as an Ash Breach appears to have been wasted. Ooh. Now they can at the very least get that mirror window, but the one on site will remain intact. Atomic out of that utility now, having to take a gunfight towards this position, towards the CO player. They're still just putting so much pressure on Solo, and he's giving them absolutely nothing, not wanting to peek anything here. I say that he eventually goes for a bit of a spray, a bit of a pre-fire, and in fact, Pizza is taken out here as Silent continue to march forward. Akashi having a phenomenal round here at such a crucial point. Eventually, Shisui and Deuko will be taken out. Akashi, the hero of the round, still at play. Atomic as well. It's a 2 versus 1.
Yeah, Nui left alive. Atomic trying to find this tight angle and lands it. Silent get to map point, but oh, it's that thing again of Silent. They look like they're in such a good position. And then Team Misclick, they brought it all the way back to a 2 versus 2, Joe. Finding 2 kills that Silent weren't prepared for. They didn't check their corners heading in towards Baguette. It just worries me, to be honest. Because it's simple things like that. You should be checking your corner there, but Yen's just able to get a free kill regardless. It's something that shouldn't be happening, and yeah, like I say, it's worrying. But round 12, we're at the basement. Anything could happen here.
Anything could happen indeed.
Anything.
We've seen previously, Silent like to go for this kind of 2-pronged attack. They like to go for this roam clear, but also very quickly get that breach open, using the Thatcher to just completely nullify any potential for a Kayad trick. But looking at this lineup so far, we're not seeing a Thatcher, and I'm sure one of these operators, I believe the Capital can get impact EMPs, but they're nowhere near as consistent as those primary ones. So I'm left kind of bewildered here. That plant is usually such a crucial part of this site, and Akashi's not bringing the MPs. It's going to be a double down on can openers, but those aren't going to work if you can't actually get to the wall. If they can't be put on the wall, what usage do they have here? It seems like Silent had an attack that did go well for them, that they did end up winning. The linchpin of that has been left behind.
I suppose if you're going to be opening the vertical anyway, their reasoning is, hey, we'll just shoot any of the denial that comes across. But obviously that hinges all on one player, Deuko, being able to stay alive long enough to open up that floor. Another possible alternative was Atomic on the Ash, but now he's been taken down, and Yen floating around this top floor on the Vigil, so not going to be able to be droned, but has now been spotted by Dayuko as the shots ring wide. Drone gets destroyed, falling back now towards Secretary. A lot of attention being paid here on the top floor, and it's taking time away from Silent, and even still they don't know, they aren't aware of Yen's position. Dayuko going down, 5 versus 3 for Team Misclick.
Yeah, the drone work just not adequate there at all. Shisui finally picks up one here, but Yen is still at large, still towards this long desk position. I'm not sure if they're aware, they're at least paying a bit of attention, but it's the Vigil. The drones aren't going to be able to fully spot him as he gets another. His position is simply vague now as finally concrete intel comes in. But Fod has also moved up here to cover his teammate, baiting them with their own Jackal trackers. It's all onto Hakanino now in a 1v4. Hasn't been able to get that external breach open like we pointed out. He's going to have to fish for kills on all 3 floors if he even wants a chance at winning this round.
Well, there is one on towards Fod, but still doesn't know when or where backup will arrive from. So it's just checking these angles, trying to do every last bit. Can at least get this hatch. It has been reinforced, but no, here's a C4. Cleverly backs away at just the right time now, using that vertical again to try and find something. Yen so low, but still with a gun up, and has been doing so much work for Team Misclick in this round. It looks like overtime is an absolute certainty. The Toxic Babes now ring out as well, dropping the hatch, no longer an option for Hakanino. What can he do in this situation? Ops for Spiral Stairs. But there isn't much there for him either. There's some barbed wire waiting. More guns ready to mow him down as we head into red time. The pre-fire is coming through. This round is done. We are going to overtime indeed, Joe. 12 rounds isn't enough. We're going to need at least 2 more.
I'm just bewildered by the lineup there. It seems like Silent were almost setting themselves up to fail there. They lost in the operator pick phase. We've pointed out time and time again, a key factor in Consulate is that timer, is the clock. So, of course, the reason they won on that basement site was their ability to do all of these jobs, like opening vertical, like opening the wall so quickly. That's why we saw the traditional Thatcher Thermite and the Ram as well. All of those gadgets just allowed for such an easy job at doing these things. And they sack it all off in round 12 when they need it most. They go for something that requires a much more active push there. And it completely explodes in their faces. And even worse, they're now back onto the attack. Even if they win this one, they're going to have to win a defense. If they lose the defense, if they lose this round, they're then probably going to have to attack basement again. And I'm not sure they're going to have learned from the mistakes last time, because they didn't learn from their successes in the first attempt. It's all just spiraling, going horribly wrong for Silent, as it seems like maybe Misclick weren't so silly for picking this map to begin with. Their second half paying dividends as they've gotten to overtime, and they look now the far stronger side here as we enter a second floor defense, maybe the final second floor defense of this entire map, and so much utility and that classic single wall run out being prepped yet again.
Let's see, are Silent going to fall for it for like what, the 3rd or 4th time? Potentially even more? I mean, it's a possibility, yeah. What is it? Fool me thrice.
A bomb has been located.
Who knows? At that point, it shouldn't even really get you the second time. So, if it works the 3rd, there's definitely going to be some problems. But, hey, you know what? It hasn't worked for them so far. And with... Is that a Teller's defense? No, we're definitely on the top floor. But Solo is going to find the first. A response. That's Atomic getting at least something, keeping it in a 4 versus 4, not letting the round get away from Silent this quickly. And actually, Shisui there as well, finding the advantage for this attack inside, something that we've seen quite rarely on these top floor attacks.
Yeah, Silent with a really strong position here, but still Nui, talking of strong positions, got that classic vending machine shield here. Can still play behind it, but opts instead to go for this long desk, holding a bit more of an unconventional angle here, just a pixel onto that doorway, but at the same time, it does offer himself up to be shot dead here. Goes for the swing and indeed lands it. Shisui taken down, but Atomic, a double for him, springing into life when his team need him most. And Nui also forced back by this Flores drones. They've done a great job of just pushing this Malusi further and further away from anywhere that he can find a lot of value. Eventually, he's going to have to hold a passive angle, but does regress. There's not been considerable enough attention put towards this spot, and he does get a bit of damage off, but takes quite a lot himself and doesn't get that pick. That's crucial for Makashi, a 1v3 now for Pizza.
Yeah, well, he swings out the smoke, obviously. Knew that he had to do something, and if he was at least able to take down Hakanino, possibility for the Yokais to come into play, come into action, but instead, Silent, they get an attacking round, a crucial attacking round here in overtime, because now they can head on to their defense, and, well, it's looking likely that they might be able to win this map after all. Obviously, not fully the case. We could just have 3 attacks won here in overtime. It happens a lot. In fact, I mean, really, who knows what's going to happen, but Silent very much in the driver's seat for now, as they decide to defend here onto the top floor as well.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Yet again, we're at a crucial round here. And
Enlighten me, Joe, people.
Silent have forgotten. What? Just they're not learning. It doesn't seem like they're learning. They have been demolished the past 2 times that they've played this site. Just complete and total, almost embarrassment to Concert Defenses. A single R4C ripping them apart. And they've gone back here again when you have that more secure option of the basement at your disposal. Instead, going to the second floor. I hope that they win this, because if not, they will be kicking themselves for repeatedly making the same mistakes. Either way, Silent, on their defense, 7-6 up, a prime spot to win this map. But this site has seemingly been cursed.
Well, there's no single breach run out either. That's getting reinforced away. On the side of Silent, they want absolutely none of that as the attack starts to come on through this time. They are able to deal with some of this utility and deal with some of the players as well. Solo down to about 10 HP there on the admin repeller. Atomic there with those shots, but just falling back now. Doesn't want to overstay his welcome in that position.
Absolutely not. Still 5 versus 5. Both these teams realizing the severity of the positions they're in. Misclick on what should have been quite a confident round for them. They should be 7-6 up right now. They would have had a chance, a second chance, if they lost this attacking round. Suddenly, a lot more on them now. If they lose this round, they go down to our elimination phase of the Swiss stage. So much pressure for these players. Meanwhile, Silent, they are sitting here pretty comfortably with a second chance here back onto the attack, an attack that they won so convincingly last time, and Hakanino strengthening this position even more. 5 versus 4, Cameron. Has Misclick's luck just completely ran out at this final hurdle?
Well, it absolutely might have, at least, though. Still an R4C standing there on Yen. Solo with a pick as well onto Atomic, despite his low health, still able to shoot that gun. And it is going to work out for this team. Misclick attack now equal in the player count, but still a lot of work to do. These drones gathering some information, but taken down, and Hakanino now with a possibility to reposition to somewhere where Team Misclick don't know where he is. Pizza now droning up towards this hallway as well. It's such a choke point. If Misclick are able to breach through this line, then, well, they have the site for themselves pretty much for free. Akashi's holding the close angle. Team Misclick biding their time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, but that moment may never come. The time keeps going. There's an opening to be found. Nui taking down Shisui, and suddenly Advantage for Misclick yet again, but the time continuing to tick. They don't have long before they're going to have to start trying to rush into this bomb site, not really able to clear everything that they would want to. The Dokkaebi calls ringing out. Hakanino, though, unfazed, continuing to watch this angle, and there's Akashi now. Hakanino called into action, bursting forward. He knows that there's going to be someone on those spiral stairs and finds a kill. Nui with the diffuser being planted, but Hakanino, he's swinging round, finds one, finds two, not quite the third, as Nui goes down to Dayuko. And Silent have done it. They've toppled the British Giants here in Team Misclick. They go marching forwards. As for Team Misclick, it's into those elimination phases at the earliest possible moment. Not something that we're used to saying about this team.
Yeah, not indeed, but it's just down to a phenomenal adaptation there from Silent, particularly in that overtime. They had 12 rounds of attacks to work off of to base that final push on, and indeed, it worked out. They managed to win probably the most important attack in an entire map of Siege there on that first round, 13th round of the map. Great from them, but for Team Misclick, there were key opportunities, key moments where this could have easily gone their way. This was dangerously close to a 3-3 split to begin with, and by that logic, Misclick would have taken it 7-5, so definitely a shaky match for both teams, but at the end of the day, despite Team Misclick having that overtime half advantage, they F up, Cameron. Simple as that. At the worst possible moment, they just completely implode.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, isn't it? But again, like you mentioned, we got to give props to Silent there. They did an incredible job, particularly in that overtime. And while we had some questions, they were able to adapt. They were able to improve on the things that we were critical of in those regulation time rounds. So all in all, it's a deserved victory for the side of Silent, but for Team Misclick to get so close, it's just going to hurt for them, to be completely honest with you, Joe. And now you have to start looking towards these best of threes in the lower round. Starts to get a little bit nervous, perhaps, that things could fall away from Team Misclick here, and they might be facing early elimination. The other teams that are down there, you've got Cosmic Gaming, you've got Crown Zero, you've got Eagle Empire, you've got Controller Gang, now Team Misclick, and then one of either Leisure or AGM, which is the game that's going to come up in just a few minutes' time. I mean, that is some scary competition to come up against, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, and just heading down to that elimination phase so early on, it means at maximum they're going to have to play, 9 maps?
Yeah.
If everything goes to a map 3. So that's so many strats revealed, so many maps revealed as well. It's so tiring compared to some of these teams that are only going to have to play 3 maps. It's completely bonkers, really, that they are in this spot and the ramifications being in a spot like this can have on their season. So they've got to improve, and they've got to improve fast.
They absolutely do. Well, speaking of the games that are coming up in the future, it's Team Leisure versus AGM after this very short break. We'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone. We are live and we're ready to go here for our third game of the evening. Team Leisure versus AGM. Still Pastor and Pooble with you to run you through this one. We had a very, very close game in the previous series, Joe, on Consulate, but now on to pastures anew.
Yeah, I've heard we're not going to be on such a one-sided map this time, as we do have our third and final match of not only the day, but also this round, the second round of the Swiss stage. We're going to be heading on to Cafe, and we're going to be deciding which of these two teams will be heading towards those very dangerous elimination spots.
And that really is the sort of worry, the concern there, isn't it? That we elaborated on it quite a lot in our previous game, but I think it bears repeating. If you lose this series is just one map. Then you start to head down to those elimination games where you do go into the best of threes, and at that point, if you want to make it to the playoffs, you have a minimum of 6 games or 6 maps that you need to play, maximum of 9, because it's all best of threes in round 3, then round 4, then round 5 should you need to qualify, which is obviously a very, very tricky spot to be in. But, you know, it's still doable, and someone is going to have to go down to that lower bracket. So it really just matters as which one of these teams it's going to be.
Yeah, the best of threes are just such a big detriment to those teams, right? Because not only is it more work, but it's more that you have to show off to your opponents. We mentioned this again, as you said, on Consulate. There's the potential for 9 of those maps, 9 maps of your strats broadcast to the world that everyone else in the tournament can see. It's by no means something you want to happen if you are aiming for a championship run here, because once we head onto that I believe playoffs is single, Elon. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it is. That means you've got no second chances, right? So teams can just lab out everything you do on certain maps. It is double elimination playoffs, so there is at least a bit of a second chance there, but still having potentially 9 maps worth of strats, of setups, of pushes. There's a wealth of information for your opponents to completely turn its head and use against you. So it's no surprise that these teams desperately want to avoid those best of threes for as long as possible.
And the other thing to think about with that as well is the fact that if by going into this sort of 0-3 position, you are no longer able to get yourself are no longer able to get yourself into the upper bracket. It's lower bracket or bust in that situation. So I'm going to try my best to explain this now, just while we wait for the game. So if you win 3 of your games, if you win 3-0, then you had there's only 4 rounds of the Swiss. See, this is where it starts to get a bit confusing. If you win 3 games, you're into the upper bracket. If you win 2 games, you're into the lower bracket. I believe that's how this works. So 3-0 upper bracket, 3-1 upper bracket, 2-2 lower bracket, and then because of the way the matches work out, one of the 2-1 teams is going to have to play one of the 1-2 teams, and they're going to have to battle it out for one spot in the upper bracket. But then the loser of that isn't going to the lower bracket. The loser of that is just eliminated straight up. And then in the 1-2 games, if you lose that and you go to 1 and 3, you're eliminated. If you win that, then you go to 2 and 2 and you're in the lower bracket. And obviously, if you just lose 3 games right out the rip, then you are eliminated. I hope that makes sense, because to be honest, I don't really understand it fully. But if you win 3 games, you're going through to the upper bracket, apart from that mid match, which is where things get a little bit strange and silly.
Yeah, essentially every map matters, and every lot more than anything matters. So that being said, and with a bit of context to the grander scheme of things, we are heading over towards Cafe here. Another one of those almost defensive bastions. It takes a heck of a long time for certain attacking teams to get into the map, so it will certainly favor fast attacks, but also it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very, very difficult for some of these attacking teams to get into sight, to get, especially those mid-floor sites where the roam clear is mandatory, just repelling on the roof. It can take a while, so expect to see quite a lot of last-second pushes here, similar to Consulate.
Yeah, absolutely. We've spoken at length in casts past about how difficult it is to really get a fast attack going on Cafe unless you're attacking onto that bottom floor. for the bans, expect very similar things. Expect Montaigne, expect Ying, expect Solace, expect Azami, perhaps less Fenrir. Azami can be very strong when you're looking at Cigar, but instead it's Jackal who's the first one to be taken away, potentially hinting that Team Leisure, they want to get aggressive out on the map and they don't want their feet being tracked there while they're roaming.
I guess I'm not a fan of the Jackal ban. I'll be straight up in front with you. I don't like it. I think we're in a period right now where there are a select few very strong attackers and a select few very strong defenders. And if you stray away from that for some kind of like pocket strat, it just isn't going to go all too well for you. In terms of Jackal, yes, it can speed up the roam clear, but so can a Monty. And a Monty can't be shot from in front, and a Monty can get a free melee kill, basically. So I'm just not a big fan of it. The mirror ban, yes, there's better options, but at the very least, mirror does play quite a pivotal role on I guess 3 sites on Cafe, right? That second floor and the 2 first floor sites as well. So I can see that being picked over something like a Solace, like a Fenrir, like an Azami. Still expect to see one of those 3 being banned out, and it's in fact the Fenrir here. So Azami will be seeing play as well. Solace, Azami, particularly towards those top floor defenses and roams as well. Just able to fortify such great positions there. Really, an operator that was seemingly built for Cigar Lounge.
Yeah, very, very strong in that situation. But instead of it going to that middle floor, into Fireplace and Reading Room. Now, in recent months, I suppose, we are seeing this sort of mid-floor be a lot more favoured over things like the top floor, like even the kitchen, which used to then fall into that sort of primary site status, is now falling back to be the secondary, even tertiary, as mining has suddenly come out of the woodwork and is no longer just a complete troll pick.
Yeah, teams are running mining. Obviously, the big flaw with mining is that external window and how easy it is to hop in and out for the attack and how devastating a post plant can be there. Still, you'll be seeing one of these first floor sites. So that's something a little bit out of the ordinary. Usually teams would like to go second floor, but I will give it to them. I do think these first floor sites, particularly Reading, are the strongest on the map because it's a lot easier to hold above because there's only one extra floor above, unlike with a kitchen defense where you have to hold both the first and second floor. And on top of that, you don't have the big flashing red threat of the skylight above. So it's a lot more difficult for the attack to really get a lot of pressure onto the site, which is why more and more teams are now, thankfully, choosing these sites as their first pick. Bit of team damage, I believe, goes on to sample there. In fact, no, it's just Ollie walking in, immediately getting 1 pick. A fantastic start for AGM's attack.
It's a brilliant start, in fact. Very early aggression being found, and also very early map control. Because I believe he will have probably come through that that top floor areas. A C4 goes out through the hatch, but somehow doesn't catch on towards anyone. I thought that was for sure a guaranteed kill there to come out from Risk, but instead Team Leisure still in this player disadvantage when it looked like they could have got an explosive double kill with that C4. But look at Ollie's position, Joe. He's inside of mining, pushing in towards train at this point in time, and he's only 1 room away from the bomb site, which is just, it seems absolutely ludicrous that he's been able to get that position so fast.
You've also got this 3-man push towards Cigar here. We're seeing that triple alliance of Iana, the IQ, and, well, the Flores is taken down. The Ace as well. How is this roam clear suddenly gone so bad? At the very least, Nerd gets 1, evening things out, but an even man count inherently favors the defense here as you're left with less and less time. And Ollie, who was in such a strong spot, as we just mentioned, now forced to rotate up to try and clear this top floor.
And the Capcan trap's being spotted out by Nerd as well, so no catch going to be happening there. There's this vertical presence now established for the side of AGM. Ollie dropping down and should be able to find some positions. I think he knows that there's some sort of fishy business going on inside of mining, but Whether he's aware of Risk's exact position there behind the machinery, we'll have to wait and see. Hotspur as well, looking to catch some aggression to come out, and in fact it's AGM, it's Ollie even, who finds the kill, but not onto Risk. It's actually onto Blackie now. In a 2 versus 3 for Team Leisure. Not much time remaining, but Hotspur should be able to stick that plant. Risk his position will have been heard, spotted, thanks to that sprint, and there's just too many players trying to look at him, take him down. And Smash, well, it's going to be quite tough in this situation, Joe.
Yeah, can't even find one. Ollie shuts him down. A round that really, in the mid portion, was so shaky for the attack. Luckily, they stemmed the bleeding. They managed to get a fairly clean execute as we are now heading into, unfortunately, a bit of a tag pause here. So we can just kind of break down what we just saw because it was a very turbulent round there, Cameron.
Yeah, it was quite a strange one, to be honest with you. Ollie finding so much space immediately to find one kill and really opening things up for AGM. And then again, that C4 that looked certain to be at least one kill, probably even a double, instead did negligible damage to the attack. And then suddenly that roam clear falling apart for AGM, and then they bring it back to a 3 versus 3, and then they're able to flood the site. It doesn't... Things happened that shouldn't really have happened, basically.
Yeah, luckily for AGM, they are starting off pretty strong with their attack as well. It's always nice to win that first round on the attack because, again, it just makes everything so much easier. It takes a bit of pressure off you as we head into our second round here, and it's really on AGM now to kind of continue this pace. If they win another round, suddenly that's a massive load off their shoulders. They've at the very least secured a 2-4, which, as we were kind of saying with Concert, it's business as usual with these more defender-favoured maps. If they win a third, though, Cameron, suddenly things start getting really good for them and really quite stressful for Leisure there. Completely the opposite of their team name. They're actually going to be, I'd imagine, quite stressed if they go 3-0 down, 3-1 down. So AGM, they definitely have the potential to just go on a bit of a roll here if they can keep the momentum going. But of course, it's Cafe, it's a top 4 defense. It's going to take the attack probably 40 seconds just to get on the roof. So it definitely does favour Team Leisure, despite a pretty strong start from AGM in that previous round.
Yeah, I don't expect the same sort of fireworks to come through from AGM this time around. Obviously, I mean, Ollie got 4 kills in that previous round, actually. I didn't even notice how insane that scoreline was. So, you know, perhaps he can just get another 4K. But I don't think it will come, at least the first kill, as soon as it did the previous time around. As yeah, there's still more waiting on the roof, establishing their positions before they really get these hatches opened up. Obviously, last week we saw some pretty impressive vertical kills around these hatches, and it's going to happen again. Smash there with the C4, and more importantly, Diffuser now dropped inside a new balcony. If Team Leisure are able to recognize that fact, well, they'll be in a very good spot.
Yeah, missing that ranged hard breach as well, or missing the only hard breach there, really. So AGM immediately on the back foot. Luckily, Risk is taken down there, and Nerd gets another. AGM once again just spring back into life when things seem dire. They've also managed to clear away this closet position as well. Smash forced away. I think he might even be visible from that skylight. I'm not quite sure if he might just be on the very border of where the safe area is, as simple. At the very least takes down Ollie, but still, there's a lot of attackers putting a lot of pressure towards these different defensive spots. Simple, it's going to have to rotate instead. Opposite get a bit more aggressive here, Cameron. Onto this window, misses his chance, but Nerd does take a little bit of chip damage there as Zorro just heading in as well. So AGM, despite being an even man count, are just desperate to just try and level, get the man advantage back, despite a seeming lack of intel. Smash once again just managing to evade these spots. Cameron, what's happening on this defense?
This is again an incredibly baffling round that we see coming on through. Simple shut down by Zorsha on that tight angle with the shield. Now all down to Smash and Blocky.
bomb diffuser.
The shots coming through Smash there is good for a second onto Zorsha. Now suddenly advantage again. It swings back and forth like the pendulum of a clock. Now just on Smash, he's heard the proximity alarm. Just on Nerd, 10 HP, perhaps 15, and a mute with an SMG-11 to try and contend with. I don't know if they're aware of these positions, but the pre-fire comes on through, and Smash is able to land it. Team Leisure with their first round on the board. But again, Joe, we can ask the question that we did at the end of round number 1. What on earth just happened?
There's just so many odd plays here, right? We had Smash getting a beautiful prediction onto that hatch with a Nitro Cell, immediately kicking things off in a pretty good way for Team Leisure. And then instantly, defenders just get picked apart from windows. Okay, a little bit odd there. You shouldn't really be in such exposed positions, especially after that opening pick. And then Smash just continues to play the most risky spots known to man, and is allowed to escape them as well, as AGM keep pushing forward despite man disadvantage and even man counts. And at the very end we get to a 1v1, and it looked really like Nerd should have won it, right? He had the jump on Smash. Smash was at around 70 HP, so that's 2 shots from that commando. And he just misses, unfortunately. Just misses those crucial shots, and Smash somehow gets away with the round win there. 5-1 for him in 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And Leisure even things out, so these potential scenarios we were running through at the end of that last round where, oh, what if AGM do string together a couple rounds? Momentarily they've been squashed. Team Leisure show that Cafe is a defender-sided map. Team Leisure show that they are more than capable of dealing with AGM's attacks, and now they head on to this kitchen site. Another very strong site here with another quite sustained, quite significant roam game there with the EDDs, with the Capcan and the Solace as well. So AGM, they've still got a lot of work cut out for them despite a very good start to this map. They kind of stalled in that second round, I can't lie.
There have been a couple common threads throughout these first 2 rounds. Firstly, just the baffling nature of them. But the other thing is the fact that the team that's won the round, one of these players has found a 4K, and in fact, both of those players currently sit at 5-1 in that score sheet, as Ollie, the player who was the hero for AGM the first round, has taken some damage from an EDD. In fact, I believe it was probably 2 of those on a doorway, now on about 45 health. Not ideal, especially when you're the aggressive player trying to take those gunfights. Now really only a body shot or 2 from being downed and then just taken out of the round entirely. Is the time continuing to tick down? We've already had 80 seconds with 100 left on the clock, and only now are these first bits of damage starting to be engaged in terms of guns. The C4 goes up top from Blocky, who tries to find some sort of kill there with a catch, but instead it's going to lead to his own demise, with Hotspur reversing that vertical angle on him.
Yeah, you could see the psychological impact of that EDD, right? Once the instant Ollie was hit with one of those entry denial devices, 3 members of AGM instantly hop on drones. So you can see those EDDs are having a bit of impact stalling out the push, but if you concede an opening pick like that onto the vertical, AGM are still going to have quite an easy time. Ollie, though, is dangerously low on health. That chip damage throughout the round adding up, now only around 10 HP, so you might have to play a bit more passive there, and that's not what you want for AGM, for a player who's so aggressive and so consistent at getting these picks, as Zorsha just completely blindsides the player there. Eventually, Risk is spotted there, but not before Hotspur takes down the Warden playing in VIP. It's a 5v3, Cameron, 5v2, as Leisure are getting absolutely destroyed here in this kitchen site.
Yeah, Smash and Bison being taken down, now all down to Risk and Simple here in this situation. 2 versus 5, make it 1 versus 5. Risk, though, is good for 1, but only 1, as Hotspur again, with it was at least 3 kills. Now was it 4? Because if so, that is ludicrous. Otherwise, let's see how many kills. He was on 0 before the start of this round, so we should be able to find out fairly shortly.
I'm gonna hope that it was a bit more of a team effort. Obviously, kills on everything throughout the 2 rounds that AGM have won. There's been a lot of good drone work, a lot of good pressure applied from various players.
It was 4!
And Hotspur got a 4K, so
Every time!
just this isn't a good look for the teams, right? I'm just gonna say it. If all 3 rounds
It's a
have been
funny
won by
statistic.
some guy getting a 4K,
But, like,
that's not the best look for a team. And obviously, who cares about like my opinions on a team? If you're winning rounds, cool, win those
it's
rounds.
not going to get you
But
far.
It's not gonna exactly. Once you're put against better teams, once you are filtered up into those higher tiered rounds in the Swiss format, it's not going to work just relying on one of these players popping off every single round. So I would like to see a more team effort from either of these sides within the next 3 rounds here. Luckily for AGM though, they've gotten that magic 2-round point. Anything above this will be a bonus and will continue to make Team Leisure's lives a bit more miserable here on the defense. So AGM, they're very close to winning the half there. That's the good part. Unfortunately, they've still got to attack onto Cafe, which can be seen as a miserable experience for a lot of attacking teams.
I'd cry.
Yeah.
Just like even in this situation, it's so difficult to attack on this map. Obviously, AGM making it look a little bit easier, but it is thanks to 4Ks every round, and the fact that it's continued for both of these teams for 3 rounds it seems ridiculous, but we've already had some quite ridiculous rounds here. There's the IQ coming through yet again for AGM is going to be spotting those C4s and things out, but well, it's not going to spot that one that's just been thrown from risk. This Hotspur goes down. No more heroics from you this time, good sir, but Ollie yet again finding impact with a kill on towards Bison, who himself isn't quite having the start that he would have wanted. Just 1 kill to 4 deaths in this game so far. And AGM, well, it is even, but they still do look fairly comfortable.
Risk, despite his name, chooses to retreat from there, thinking that it maybe is a little too risky staying so close to the hatch, but is still taken down, isn't aware of the vertical control at all from Zorsha, who is now immediately bearing down onto the side itself. These attackers already dangerously close to reading room if these defenders aren't aware. He takes so much damage here and having to rotate back to an incredibly passive angle, but he's still being spotted. I'm not sure he is indeed on drone there or potentially a hacked Valkyrie cam. Either way, utility been wasted now from Team Leisure here as AGM continuing to just bear down onto this site. So much time, a minute still remaining, and Ollie just primed, waiting to pounce here instead. Chooses to use a bit more of that utility before potentially dying in a gunfight with Smash. He's rotated up the red stairs, Cameron. There is a retake going on, or at least the potential for one is.
There it is.
This Wamai is still up here. There was no response at all. He gets the trade 2 versus 2. But Ollie could still catch one of these players off guard.
Yeah, still a potential 2v1 on the bomb site now, and I think they have isolated that fact. They've isolated Blocky as well. Now, the drop comes through from Smash. Spots Kesh. They're now planting the diffuser. Where is Ollie in this situation? I don't think they know. He's on the close angle. Inadequate cover coming through from Ollie on the Ash, and he doesn't know which way to turn. Swinging left, swinging right, has no idea. Now takes a diffuser, heading over towards the other site, but instead turns his back and is not able to land the kill. Potential there, you might say, to have played the objective, but instead chooses to fight, chooses to die, and Team Leisure tie us up yet again.
Another 1v1, and this time, crucially, Team Leisure did not win a round off of one player getting a 4K. Luckily, it was a much more balanced team effort. We saw the intricacies of that defense. We saw how Smash
it was a 4K.
No, it was.
It was a 4K. No. That kill to get it to 2v2 was a double kill for Smash. It's every round. He's on 9. Yeah, he started the round on 5.
At the very least, there was some kind of coordination there.
Oh dear.
Particularly with Smash, waiting until the attackers were distracted with that vertical play to make his way up red. It still shouldn't have happened though. He still got a kill on red stairs, and 20 seconds later, no one was responding to that kill. Right? things are still not quite as they seem here on Cafe, but at the very least, both teams are doing something, right? It's still 2-2. Granted, it's not really the teams though, is it, Cameron? It's just individual players. I'm not a big fan of that. And winning this match, sure, but once you head on to those teams that have better winning records in Swiss, it's just going to get a whole lot more difficult. So these are issues that ideally should be ironed out mid-map here while you're against a potentially weaker opponent. But we're almost finished with this first half, and still, it's just 4K, 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 4K.
This is the funniest statistic that is keeping going here. I just don't want it to continue now. Like 4 rounds is enough. We can leave it be now. 4 rounds in a row at the start. It's pretty good, and well, Ollie isn't going to get anything in this round. There's Risk, who finds the opening pick down here by himself on the roam on the bottom floor. Could have been very difficult to find a kill, but now there's Smash again. There's still potential for 4Ks to come through from either of these teams. Let's just hope it doesn't happen. I can tell that you're tense about this, Joe.
I just want a team to do something. Either way, it seems like pressure is being placed onto this Cigar Lounge spot. Bison's tucked in nicely behind these keeper barricades and does get one. H-Cash, though, still does get a trade. That's Risk taken down. Smash is still on the board, though. He's so far had a lot of impact this round. As I say that, he is finally taken care of. 3 versus 2. 3 versus 1, though. The damage is done. The damage to the players, to the utility, everything, as Blocky gets the final 2. And finally, the curse has been broken. The trade is no more. Team Leisure, as a team, as a unit, have done something. Same can't be said for AGM. It's been a very hero-focused first half, with a lot of people going above and beyond in individual rounds. But finally, Team Leisure play that as a team, get impact as a team, and they've taken the lead as well. 3-2. Potential for a 4-2, potential for usual business here. And AGM aren't going to be wanting that, because not too long ago it looked like they could easily size themselves up a 3-3, potentially a 4-2 attacking split. If they go down 2-4, sure, they're not going to be too disappointed, but it still might not sort of bode well for their futures, because it would be a string of rounds in a row for the defense.
Absolutely would. Again, this is very much like Consulate, where we have had just such a confusing half of Siege play out.
10 seconds left.
And it could just end in a 4-2 defensive half from one of these teams, like exactly what you'd expect. But the way that we've got here has been anything but expected. I think that's fair to say.
Oh yeah, this has just been a bizarre matchup. There's no real other way to put it. It's been bizarre as Leisure sizing up their final defense here. We're seeing a very wide roam and a vigilant player now, a very selfish operator there on the defense, but also one that is very good at wasting time just due to that lack of concrete intel. Risk just taking a picture of the player on the rappel there, had ample opportunity to kill them, but just lets him be. Does destroy their drones, however, so at least it's not an entire waste. Same can't be said for Sample, though. Immediately taken down by the ace of all players, so that's one of these roamers dealt with. Luckily, though, for Team Leisure, there's an expansive roaming network here as Bison gets one. That's Hard Breach taken care of. Easy for him. Just turn off his phone before getting further away. They confused by that, but still, Leisure have managed to even things out, and that means inherently they are at an advantage here.
Yeah, it's a bit of a risky play there. Ollie is able to take down Risk himself to a 4 versus 3 for the attack, and it might not be business as usual if they can hold on to this advantage, but Bison's found a second, taking down Thorsha, and this might just have the hallmarks of a hero round coming through once again from one of these teams.
Bison's got 2.
Yeah.
He's got 3 opportunities to get 2 more to not necessarily keep the streak alive, but make it 5 out of 6 rounds won off the back of a 4K here. But
and same said for Ollie as well. He's on 1 kill and 3 players left for Team Leisure.
I don't want to think about these possibilities. I like good team play in my Siege, and right now it seems like Leisure are finally moving towards that as Bison is playing more laid back. As I say that,
What are you doing?
he rotates back to site. He didn't need to do that, and AGM making the absolute most of this. Nerd getting another. It's all on Smash now.
No 4K.
1v3. No chance for a 4K, but still a 3K on the boards to win this round and win this half for his team. But there's so much he's got to deal with, Cameron. There's horizontal angles, there's vertical angles, there's a plant going down, and he's shut down by that player in small bake. Nerd getting the final one there, and AGM leave this half even 3-3.
Now, in a half that has been so dominated by just hero plays coming on through, it seems about right that these teams are even at the end of it. They both had 2 rounds come from 4Ks and both had 2 rounds come from not 4Ks. Obviously there's teamwork and there's droning and there's coordination happening ahead of that, but it didn't really change the fact that, especially when it came down to at least a couple of those rounds, thinking about Smash in round 4, that was also a 1 versus 2. So it is also a little bit of that sort of individuality. So yes, while there was that teamwork and communication, the latter stages of that half have allowed us to at least have a bit of confidence that there is more of that teamwork coming through from both of these teams. So while, yes, still, there were some questions to be raised about how many shots specifically some of these teams were landing, especially when they were losing rounds, there was still some very nice stuff in there.
Yeah, applying the eye test as well, it does seem like AGM are a bit more team-focused, as there's less of a range between kills. Ollie immediately downed, but then picked up. So that's teamwork for you right there. What could have been a free kill for the attack still leaves a Valkyrie at large, able to play from below, potential for a C4 to be used later in the round. That's great from AGM, just not over-peaking once Ollie is down, and instead focusing on getting them up and getting back into the map. Hotspur as well, getting a wealth of intel from this Solace gadget, and also just from his ears, he can hear the player breaking that whiskey window as well as he chooses to descend onto that first floor. There might even a drone on that stairs that they didn't notice, but HCash still does get one, and indeed they get that drone too. A lot of W's coming the way of AGM here to start off their defensive half.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and with that 3-3 defensive half, it does sort of bring into question the Jackal ban as well, because it hasn't even helped you get the advantage on your defenses, and now it's a tool that you are left without in your arsenal heading into the second half of the game, and it could potentially help with rooting out some of these players like HCash inside of Jewelry. So this breach now gets opened up. Hotspur as well here, looking over towards this side of the map with Zorsha as well. Heavy focus on this sort of western side from both of these teams so far.
Yeah, Ollie is on that second floor, and to be honest, with his current health situation, you'd expect him to be playing below using his Valkyrie cameras. HCash, also down but not out, can still provide intel and maybe be picked up, but I doubt AGM are going to risk it now as they've got that 2-man advantage. Smash is going to have to repel in, which is going to leave him vulnerable, going to leave him exposed. AGM, really, all the cards lining up for them, but Bison has something to say about it. Gets one, that's Zorsha taken down. It looks as though HCash is going to get eventually confirmed as well, leaving it 3v3 with less than a minute remaining, Cameron. That's still odds on for the defense. HCash just gets finished off the moment he was potentially able to be revived there. Nerd, though, does double down, keep this man advantage in their favor as it's a 3 versus 2.
And low health on Bison as well there. Same could be said for Ollie, but out goes the impact grenade. High damage there. A Nerd with the kill as well. Now just on Simple in 1 versus 3. Can't land the shots. The Nerd is there. I didn't want to say it, but I feel like it might have been.
I saw 3.
Yeah. If Nerd is on 9 kills right now, then yes, it was a 4K. But there was teamwork coming through from the side of AGM. It was nicely set up, and there were sort of crossfires established and those sort of positions held. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt
Yeah.
on this one. We've kind of been harping on this point a lot. Okay, and it was 3 kills. It was
Okay.
3. It was 3. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we saw specifically when Hotspur was in that freezer area, firing shots and Nerd also swinging just upon that contact as well to secure those kills. It was a lot more team-centered, and it's allowed AGM to retake that lead. 4-3 up now, 3 rounds required for a regulation win, only 2 for overtime, so they're in a pretty solid spot so far, heading to one of these first 4 sites. It's going to be reading again, which has seen mixed results. I believe both rounds are won, but one of them in a less than ideal way. It did come down to a 1 versus 1 that didn't go the way of the... Well, no, the first round was actually won by attack, so yeah, it very much mixed
50-50.
Yeah, 50-50 in that 1 round win wasn't ideal for the defense at all. It was on the back of a 1v2, so it's shaky ground, but statistically proven to be pretty defender-sided, so let's hope for AGM's sake that it sticks towards the tramp.
Yeah, absolutely. And still that 3-3 defensive half from Team Leisure might not prove to be enough here in this series. If AGM are able to keep a tight ship with their defenses and have that expected 4-2 half, they're going to be winning this game 7-4, 7-5, just depending on the manner and the order in which those 4 and 2 rounds are won, which is a very, very good sign for them indeed. So, pushing on through towards this top floor, already Risk is taking up a lot of space, a lot of ground, a lot of position here. Heading through Cigar, just needs to be careful of the play inside of Bathroom. Zorsha, now he has to turn tail, gets away from that position because he's taken so much damage already. The block he has as well in terms of the attack is this northern, as this eastern window even, is now the point of focus for Simple getting aggressive.
Yeah, Smash does get the opener, but Simple, again, a bit of damage sent towards his direction. Smash, though, with a very powerful spot here, bearing down onto both Planks and White, gets into Bathroom, narrowly dodges an impact and gets a second. Nerd taken down low as well. Smash just leading the charge here. Risk as well. Nerd is completely cornered here. Cameron only a matter of time as Blocky does finish off that player. 2 versus 5. 1 Nitro Cell on the board. Safe to say it's not looking good for AGM.
No, it really isn't. And again, it's those sort of mixed results that we were talking about on this bomb site, and perhaps these sides are more even than we thought. I don't think one of these teams has ever been 2 rounds ahead, and AGM, well, they look like they might have been able to make it happen. Not the case unless Kesh can find a 1 versus 5 here in this round, and that would definitely be a case of heroics, and well, even Superman ain't good enough for that one. Risk shuts it down, and yet again we're tied up.
Yeah. Again, though, we're seeing much more team-focused pushes from the attacking side.
Yippee!
Great, just overall a great sweep of that top floor. You could tell there was good communication. Everyone seemed to be on the same page there, particularly looking at the clear around Cocktail. They very clearly knew that the Wamai was completely boxed in, no chance for him to cause any more damage. So we're seeing improvements from these teams. They're slow, and it was a very slow start for them in terms of just playing as a unit, but eventually they are playing like teams now, so you can be pretty happy for both of them now, and happy for Leisure as well that they haven't let things swing out of control yet. AGM still do have 4 more attempts on this defensive side, so they could very easily still take this in regulation, or at the very least take us to overtime, so nothing too bad for them as of yet. And these defenses on Cafe, we've been saying they are so traditionally difficult. They're so lengthy with these roam clears because of just how Cafe is built, how most attacks require you to rappel up to the building, up to the roof, send drones in, slowly sweep from top down, and so far Team Leisure have been pretty fast on these roam clears.
They absolutely have, especially in that previous round where they'd established control and established a 5 versus 2 within the first half of the round. So, by no means is this going to be easy for AGM, but I don't see the same sort of pace coming through from Team Leisure this time around. Ollie looking to aggress up on that hatch. Could have at least found one as the gridlock track stingers came flying on through. But in the end, Simple's able to escape it. And yet again, Team Leisure now establishing quick control of this top red area heading in towards Cigar.
Yeah, Ollie was risking it for a biscuit at the start of there. Didn't manage to get any damage onto his attackers, but it's one of those fairly safe risks that you can take, and they've immediately spotted this Nitro Cell as well, so do not expect this to be catching anyone off guard. The problem is, though, the bars are just not having it. They're not allowing for Bison to get this. Eventually, he has to waste a grenade to take out that C4. Keep in mind, they could have just looked for the Valkyrie camera and then taken it out safely. Still, another C4 pop, so that's a bit of chip damage and utility wasted for the attack. They have gotten control of Cigar here, though, but I'd imagine there's still defensive pressure around, well, yeah, on White Stairs and Cocktail as well. Hotspur is on a bit of an island here, but he does have the ability to retreat. The hatch is open. There's 2 EDDs as well. Instead, goes for a heads-up gunfight and is actually allowed to... All 3 of these players are allowed to walk down White. A critical blunder from Team
How?
They could have had a potential 3K. Instead, all of AGM are able to get back to site with just over a minute remaining.
A lot slower from Team Leisure in this round, and you can see those small hesitations have allowed 3 players to slip the net. As an impact grenade comes up, Smash now expecting some form of re-aggression up these White Stairs from AGM, but nothing doing there in that area of the map. Instead, this vertical being opened up. It is a bit of a racket, and Ollie has been spotted and decides to just fall away. Doesn't quite push his luck, instead holding a longer angle, and Hotspur finds the opener, but the response to come through from Simple. Smash now with pre-fires, but doesn't know where to look, where to turn, and now White Stairs, possibility for some re-aggression, for a retake of that top floor with only 20 seconds left. Team Leisure, they've stalled out massively here. Nice shot from Bison and Blocky. They are convening here, but the drop down, Simple is going to able to find one, but again, retaking these vertical areas and dropping back down. So successful as Ollie finds a vertical kill onto Simple. Blocky too far away, too little time, and AGM retake the lead.
Yep, AGM onto 5 there by beautifully playing around the objective. They bled the clock on that roam clear. They were then, by some miracle, able to all rotate down towards site, waste more time in horizontal gunfights, and then Ollie, when the coast is clear, marches right back up those White Stairs, knows that they're going to have to stick a diffuser here, and that plays beautifully into the Solid Sky to being able to scan for that case going down, the easiest floor bang of his life. 5-4 now for AGM, and despite improvements from the attacking side of Team Leisure, they're not quite able to do it when a player isn't going out of their mind getting a 3K or a 4K, it seems. They stalled on that roam clear. They stalled hard once they'd gotten towards that north side, so these are just issues that need to be fixed. Luckily, it's a top floor attack, so the roam clear on that top floor is non-existent, because that's just your push, that's your execute, so this should be a bit more forgiving for them, but at the same time there is going to be a higher utility sink. You've got these frost mats up above, you've got these Azami barriers as well. Ollie's likely going to be playing below, just watching for drones. It's going to be more difficult, but without that key aspect of the roam clear, which Team Leisure really fumbled, it's still, there's a potential for them to win it.
I mean, really, at this point, who knows what's going to happen? It feels like every round just throws something different, but again, raising the point that neither of these teams have had a 2-round lead, and it would be pretty damning for Team Leisure if AGM were able to secure that here. If, by some miracle, they're able to get that, it would practically confirm this game for them, unless Leisure can put together 2 rounds of their own, which isn't really something that we've seen. As Nerd, though, taking a lot of damage early on and was trying to fall back away, gonna get taken down. It's actually the Firebolt had nowhere to run, nowhere to turn, and Bison doubling down on that advantage. Brilliant start here, Joe, for Team Leisure.
It just seems like these teams are destined to continually tie here as Yeah, it's the site.
Hold on a
Simple.
second.
Able to get diffuser down, but not fully. That vertical play coming in. Well, not even vertical, just a wide swing from the mutant throwing.
Hello?
Cell takes down the diffuser, and Ollie's been able to get back up these white stairs. A advantage gunfight for him, gets himself another, and now he can actually go back down here once Risk is taken care of. Risk going to be using those B launchers to try and give himself an advantage as Bison, looking to go for a pinch here, and actually a nice little adjustment onto HKesh's head. Sets himself up nicely, but Ollie's actually gone all the way back upstairs here. Risk now chasing after seemingly shadows as Ollie back towards that white stairs corridor. Just narrowly misses shots here. Risk can't quite seem to catch this elusive defender here, as it's still a 1v2 and there's still so much time remaining.
This round seems like an absolute fumble from Leisure, unless Risk can pull off a 1v2, but now more rotations coming through. Ollie is now basically sitting on this diffuser. It's like it's an egg and he's just a little chicken, a little bird, but Risk is able to find one. That's Zorsha going down, and it's just flanks upon flanks upon flanks. Ollie now going through Cigar. Risk has absolutely no idea, and I know, I just saw that as well. He got so close to just drifting into that frost mat. There's barely any time. The impact EMP comes out. And Risk, he might just be able to plant the diffuser here. And that's indeed what he's doing. A little bit more of an exposed position, actually, that he's found himself in. But right next to the window, he can just jump out of here. Get away from there, my friend. Escape, and Ollie can't quite get the catch. Oh my word. Just a round of tiny margins. There's a Claymore outside of that white window. But Ollie's starting to stick it. And I don't know if Risk just thinks he's baiting here. My guy! What are you doing? Oh my god. And Ollie just is allowed to stick it.
Okay.
Absolute fucking catastrophe.
Yeah, we'll allow that one swear.
I get one swear per stream, and I feel like that's justified.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my word.
I probably shouldn't be saying this. This is an introduction. I don't know. I don't know if impact DMPs cancel out the diffuser like something like a Zofia concussion does. I've never seen it happen. I've never seen a play around it happen. It might happen, right? So that might have been what the Grim was going for there. I don't know though. I don't know if that.
I've never seen that interaction before either.
And either way, he missed the impact EMP. He just missed it. So he should
just
still
went
be
straight
going
to
for
the
a swing.
ceiling.
I mean, and this isn't even getting into the fact that Ollie had an impact and was Solace, so could have played the objective, something we praised him for the previous round, which he didn't do and made it so much more risky. A bizarre ending to that round, as we had
Just such a bizarre round, full stop. Like, everything. They had control of the site, and then they allow people to retake upstairs. Like, that round has really annoyed me. It's probably very obvious to you folks at home. That round has annoyed me.
We're heading on to round 11.
Yeah.
This
Put it behind us.
This could be our last round of the map, of the day, of the second round of Swiss. Faster in Pain. Yeah, got to agree with that. That round was a little bit painful from a tactical point of view. It looks to be a bakery hold here. There's no chance for a rotation, so whoever is the poor soul there is likely going to be playing his life and playing to waste as much time and utility as possible. We're finally seeing a Monty here, by the way. A staple for Cafe that has taken double-digit rounds to finally be seen here.
Yeah, and a tactical timeout.
And a timeout. And it's immediately going to be going towards that bakery spot, a spot that I believe only has one player in there, so instantly it's going to start forcing
he's just going.
A couple of dangerous decisions there. Zorsha wastes his most important piece of utility immediately as there's 3 people outside there. What is Sample? Eventually Simple's taken down. Bison does get the pick, and he should be being picked up there, but only 20 health. Chip damage from that Nitro Cell from Hotspur is going to kill that Monty now. Potentially a couple stray shots from the vertical as well, so it was a strange push. It was very much a sacrificial play, and still Simple is walking.
No impacts left for Ollie either, so at least that's something, but these toxic babes now coming through. Very, very fatal for Simple. And again, a baffling moment at the start of this round as just mistakes upon mistakes upon mistakes as Nerd taking the initiative, swinging out, and now Simple are so low as Nerd continues to get aggressive, forcing the hand of this attack, but Smash does at least get one, brings that advantage back to Team Leisure, and now that Nerd's been taken down as well, Ollie does find one. It looks like maybe that kill upstairs was onto a run out as Risk falling. It's now all down to Ollie in a 1 versus 3. In the strangest of fashions, Bison now leaping in through, taking a bit of damage, and the prone angle isn't quite there, but Ollie, under pressure from this Montaigne, is just looking to find kills wherever. Simple's getting this plant down. Risk is there, left to cover. Flashbangs coming on through, but they don't quite land, and now the diffuser's stuck. This should be a round for Team Leisure. And it absolutely should be. Risk now prone. They have the watch, have the catch, but Ollie's able to land it. But still a Montaigne in his face. It's a very, very difficult moment here. Trying to land some form of kill, something, get anything, but now this punching the shield is a bit less impossible, but it's still, and what a way to bookend this match. A 4K from Ollie in round number 1, and a 4K from Ollie in round number 11. Puts the team on his back. If that's not individuality, I don't know what is. 18 kills in the end of this game. And an infuriating game at that, but even just in those rounds, that last round was individuality from Ollie. Just fully. Nerd did a lot as well, to be fair to him. This was just, what is happening here? What's going on?
You would have gotten away with it too if he didn't stand up.
If it wasn't for those meddling kids?
Well, it wasn't for that meddling instinct to run, I guess, because the moment Slippy was killed, but if he stayed crouched, that push is completely halted.
Yeah.
A strange round, strange map.
Strange game. So bizarre.
Yeah. But what an entertaining way to end this stream and end the second round of Swiss, I guess. You know, better that than a boring bog standard game of Oregon. So
I suppose. Well, that was what a way to end a 7-4 victory for AGM there in the round in Cafe Dostoevsky even. I feel like we've spoken on the win conditions in that game at length. There was a lot that we had to sit through, that we had to analyze, because especially the way that these rounds sort of happened, it was all very concentrated in terms of the action. So it was just pure chaos. And our first game as well, that 8-6 banger on Consulate, if you missed that, and obviously before we had a forfeit win for Entropy Gaming against Controller Gang. And that rounds out our day, rounds out our round of Swiss. We will be seeing you next week for the third round, where we start to see teams progress through to the playoffs and teams start to get eliminated. I've been Pastor, I've been joined by Poobal, and from everyone here at ESA Cup, thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.